might want my cast-off kid? I mean, it's almost like people aren't thinking when they say this because... Hello everyone, I'm Hannah and welcome back to Youre with me. On this channel, I create genuine and authentic content. If you're interested in watching videos that explore real-life topics, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and don't forget to tap on the notification bell so you'll be alerted every time I upload a new video. If this is the first time you're watching a video on my channel, you may not know that my husband and I have been married for almost 11 years next month, and we have chosen to live a child-free life. That means we have decided not to have kids. Now, we have fur babies, cats, but of course that doesn't really count. They're our version of children. Obviously, when you choose not to have kids, people ask you all sorts of questions. Some of them are appropriate and some of them are inappropriate. Sometimes very inappropriate, and you wonder why on earth people would ask those kinds of questions. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a few pointers of things you probably should not ask child-free couples. I mean, you can ask them, but couples might be a little bit offended, or sometimes the questions are just weird. Why would people ask these things? So here goes. People come up to me and they say, "Hannah, you're so young. You still have years and years to have kids. Don't be in a rush." Now, am I still young? I guess that sort of depends where the spectrum is. When I was 15 years old, I would look at someone that was in their 30s and say, oh my goodness, they're kind of old. I actually don't have as much time as people might actually think. I look a lot younger than my actual age, and so when people come up to me and tell me that, inside I'm kind of laughing because mentally I'm like, honestly, I think my eggs are near expiry, and if I wanted kids, I probably should have done that maybe 10 or 15 years ago, to be perfectly frank. And yes, there are medical miracles when people are having babies when they're like 50, but I really don't think I want to be one of those women. The next one is when people come up to you and you've told them you don't want kids and they say, "You will have kids, just wait and see." I'm waiting, I'm looking, still barren, no children. I always find this is funny because people assume that they know you better than you know yourself. And I think I understand why people say this because I think most girls go through a phase for at least 5 seconds where they're like, I don't want to be a mom, I don't want any kids. And it's true, that phase does pass for a lot of girls and then they do end up becoming moms, or dads end up becoming dads. But for the most part, I think when you've been with someone for a fair amount of time and you've been pretty set in the fact that you don't want children, it's probably not going to change. And the funny thing is now, some people that have known me for, 15, 20 years, and they realize that, no, I'm actually not going to have children, now they're like, oh, I knew you weren't going to have children. Except those were the same people that said to me, oh, you will have children, just give it time. You must have had a really bad experience when you were a kid, and that's why you don't want to be a parent. Now, this is a little bit awkward and invasive when people say this, because number one, no one has a perfect childhood. I mean, we all have good things that happen, and we all have bad things that happen. And some people have really traumatic things that happen to them. But most of the time, I just kind of shrug this one off and I say, no, my childhood wasn't actually that bad. I just seriously don't want children. I'm not interested in being a mom, and that's why I'm not a mom. And then there is always the famous medical question. Is there something wrong with you that you can't have kids? Is there something wrong with your husband? Oh yeah. I mean, no, I don't think there's anything. Okay, now here's why this is a bit of a loaded question.
First off, we don't have kids because we're choosing not to have kids. Now, if we decided we wanted kids and we were trying for kids and something wasn't functioning or working properly and we couldn't have kids, then we would know for sure that yes, it's a medical condition.
But right now, I'm assuming medically we both could have kids. I mean, do I know that 100% for sure? No, but I'm assuming. You kind of go in like a hamster wheel with this one. I just say, I think we're okay, we just have chosen not to have kids. Also, I do have Graves' disease, which can complicate things a little bit when you get pregnant, but that depends on what medication you're on. But I've known people who have Graves' disease and they've gotten pregnant. It just is a little bit more, there's a little bit more risk involved and you just have to be extra careful in your pregnancy. Next up on the list. Why don't you just try having kids and see if you like it? Kids are not a social experiment. What happens if I find out I really don't like this kid? This crying kid is driving me crazy. What am I gonna do with it? What if I realize, wow, I really don't want to be a mom? Can't take it to a garage sale. Not gonna put up an ad on Craigslist. I mean, once you make the decision to have a kid, I feel like that's pretty much your lot in life now. You are going to be a parent. So I don't see this as being an experiment. Now, I love my cats and I would never get rid of them, but you know how some people are like, okay, well, I'm gonna try having a pet, and if it doesn't work out, we'll just get rid of the pet. It's not just like, oh, this didn't work out and I had this kid, so let's just see who might want my cast-off kid. I mean, it's almost like people aren't thinking when they say this because Who gets rid of their kid? Now, I understand there are cases where moms will give their kids out for adoption, or a family member will raise the child for whatever reason, but if you're already unsure about wanting kids, it's probably not a good idea to have the experimental child. Imagine saying that to your kid one day. Hey, Sonny, we really didn't want you, but we decided to just take a gamble and see if we'd like being parents. And then next on the list is, what if you accidentally get pregnant? Well, I guess if I'm doing activities that could ensure that I would get pregnant, then that is part of the responsibility of being an adult. If I happen to get pregnant, guess what? I would keep my baby. I would not give it up for adoption. I would not have an abortion. I would not put it on Craigslist. I would keep my baby because it's my baby and my husband's baby, and we would make it work. And then my videos would drastically change and you guys could all watch me raise a child. That might be a little bit scary. And then there's the cousin to the question I just answered, and it says, what are you going to do to make sure you don't have kids? 2 words, birth control. Hannah, why do you hate kids? I don't know why people ask me why I hate kids. I don't hate kids. I have nieces, I have nephews, most of my friends have kids. In fact, we spend more time with families that have kids than families that don't have kids. Not wanting a kid is not the same as hating children. I'm not sure why people think that's the same thing. If you don't have pets, does that mean you hate pets? If you don't get married, does that mean you hate marriage? And then the last thing that people say to us, but children are a blessing. You are missing out on a big blessing. I mean, there are a lot of things in life that are a blessing. Many, many things, not just children. I like to think about it like this. Instead of looking at all of the bad things that I'm missing out on because I'm choosing not to have children, it's really great to be able to do things for other people, to give them a little break from taking care of their kids, to ensure that they get a date night once in a while. And if some of us that are child-free can support the community of parents around us, I think that's a huge blessing to them and to us.